Hey guys, welcome to round 5 NRL Fantasy Wrap Up. I'm joined here today with Rhino.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Good week of fantasy for us. As you can see here, average score 922 for the top 1,000. I think what you got close to that, right?
Yeah, I was
I
4
passed
off,
it.
I believe.
Yeah. Average salary cap right now 11.2 million, which is a bit low, but I imagine that's just because some teams probably got the wrong cash cows in at the start, or maybe we're just doing particularly well, I guess.
I think it's that we're doing particularly well. I think I'm more interested by the Payne Haas being captained by 97% of people, um,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about later because I actually have a bit of a, I guess, alternative route on captain, which I might take this week. Anyway, here's my round 4
Mm.
team wrap up. I got 918. I've now moved to 8,878, which is my new record for NRL Fantasy. So, round of applause for me. Very happy with Preston's score, 77. Haas,
Mm.
I was hoping for a bit more, considering all the stuff I did to get him in, but we'll take that for what happened in a wet game. And then obviously thrilled with Cole getting 66, which probably won't be a weekly thing, but it'll be good that he's starting to get some cash. Um, Weekly move up 4,282. Can't complain. Um, I guess hopefully that momentum continues. This was my trade summary for the week. Seyfarth and Watson out, which I really didn't want to do, but sorry. As we agreed, I guess Haas was a must get in. Katoga probably eases the pain on Seyfarth having that low break even. But
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What do you think? Do you think this was bad?
I mean, yeah, I see like the fact that Togo looks so good definitely does make it those trades look better. But yeah, it does, it does suck to lose say Arthur and Watts. If Watson goes back to 80 minutes again and is pumping out 60s, then obviously it'd be a bit rough for you.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, Payne was obviously just playing so well that it was hard to look past him.
yeah. Hopefully he reminds me this week why I got him in the first place. Um,
Yeah,
Here's the trades used. I've used 5 now, which is probably foreshadowing a little bit for me to maybe not use trades this week, as that's quite a lot. That's basically all of them really. Um, yeah, team value 11.5 mil, and yeah, the only person I'm considering this week is Thomas Kant, and I'd only get there through Iongi or Gilbert, but I think both of those players are holds, to be honest. But I was looking at the fantasy stats
mm,
for Kant just earlier today, and his PPM when he's not playing in centers, which was just one game, is basically one. He'll probably be getting 80 minutes, so you know that means 80 points. So he's very tempting.
yeah. I'm not sure what his state cup stats are like. It might be worth having a look there just to see just to give yourself bit more of a larger sample size into his true PPM. But yeah, obviously looked great in that first game in round 3, so wouldn't blame you. But yeah,
Yeah. Um, we'll see. I'll try to restrain myself, but otherwise, this will be my team plan. Nothing crazy. And then I'm actually considering captaining Cleary this week, just because of the Cowboys being a rubbish team, the Panthers losing multiple in a row. I think now I just feel like it's his time eventually. Haas and May going up against each other, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that'll impact
yeah,
anything, but
yeah.
I guess scares with head knocks on forwards and new sin binning rules. Anyways, onto your team now.
Yeah. My team, yeah, a decent 903. Obviously, with Cleary, Watson out, look, a lot of cash there sitting in the DNP. So not too bad of a score for that reason. Obviously, very similar team to yours. Got safe off 60, which is nice, and 60 from Shibasaki as well. So
Massive.
I think those are the two main differences there, and happy with that. Obviously, should bounce back next week with another sort of top range score, um, as long as I get my looping right. But the ranks obviously overall bit up and down. Um, pushed up into pushed up to possibly my highest this season this week, around 13K, which is fine. I mean, again, like I think the teams that are set up well will start to push ahead rank wise. And so having Cleary still having Watson coming back,
Yeah,
it's
that's
going to be
massive for
huge.
you. I think it's also interesting to call out that our rank difference is about 5,000, but we're only about 40 points
Mm.
difference in overall score. So it's a very close season. It's just one captain, I suppose, away from pushing forward.
Yeah, definitely. I see last week's traded out Oleg and Maju. Similar to you, just had to get Haas in, and so wasn't too keen on the Maju trade, but I feel like he's close to peak price, and Oleg had a high break even and probably is going to keep dropping a little bit more. So it kind of just made sense. Got a cheap in Hamish Stewart in. He didn't do too well, but just again had to make the trades. And with Oleg I think 44 this week. I'm not too upset about it, honestly.
No, no. I think that was a good trade. I don't think Olakawasu will. He's too inconsistent, I think. I think Mazu would have been a hold if he could, just because of the offloads, but
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
know
for
if that would
sure.
be a consistent offload sort of pattern anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Haas has obviously done a similar sort of thing. Yeah, trade team value up to 11.6, which is good. Obviously, still got a few more weeks in the main cheapies for some cash generation with like Toya and Cole and all them. So on a good sort of upwards plan. But this week though, no trades planned. I'm pretty keen on Jenkins, but it's just about how who do I trade out? Do I trade out an Iongi? It's a bit sideways,
Yeah,
but it also is potentially a really good opportunity to gain 100k if he just keeps doing what he's doing right now, right?
yeah. It's hard, I guess. Such a low cost player. Is it worth using the trade?
Yeah, that's right. Also team wise, got a really in a really good spot this week for looping. Um, only really see how Cole does. But I mean, imagine I'll probably take a score anyway, and then have a starting the first 16 players that I have to go with. So
Yeah, I'm a bit
yeah, I
jealous of your
mean,
Watson sitting there on the hooking position, to be honest.
it's a pretty strong team, I think, and hopefully again it'll be able to get me back up into that 10k spots. Sweet.
I think you're going to have a better week than me. But anyway, on to the buys. Tell us about Tom Jenkins.
Yeah, Jenkins, I mean, with Toa out now as well for Penrith, I mean, I feel like it's like was already guaranteed in the centers, in the centers there, but now I just don't see how he gets out of the side for at least 4 or 5 weeks, and so it was, I think it was no tries or anything like that. It was just offloads, tackle breaks, and good tackle numbers in that game. So yeah, it's hard to avoid him this week, but it just depends how depends who you trade out.
Yeah, I guess with Brian Toto injured, he's pretty safe. Um, Dylan Edwards isn't
Mm.
back yet either. If you want a wing fullback, I think he's your man. Hubner, I think a lot of us already have in our sides, but if you don't have him, I think he might be an okay pickup. There's a possibility he doesn't hold the lock spot, but with a -3 break even and what he's doing, I think you can't go wrong. And then for Stafford Toller,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is probably the last week you can get him. There's probably better options out there, but I think he still has cash gen to make.
yeah, sure. Obviously Thomas can't we kind of already spoke on, but a great buy. Just comes down to whether or not you want to make more cash, free up more cash with a Katoga or someone else like that.
Yeah, who is our next guy here?
Yep, you want
Yeah, sure. I already bought him last week, so I can, I guess, confidently agree that he is a good buy this week as well. He's playing second row, he should have 80 minutes. I don't think Dylan Walker will take minutes off him, and if he does, it'll probably only be a small amount. I think he's basically a Dylan Lucas light. I think that's the best way of putting it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It's always great to start that edge rower in your center spot because that's sort of like guaranteed 30 score, 30 to 40 score. So he's a great buy. So was still Negan. It's a bit riskier just relying on those bench minutes. But he did play both mid and second row last week. So it's tough. There's so many good cheapies this week. But
Yeah, I think Dragons is probably one
he's
of the
he's priced
cheaper ones.
cheaper. Yeah, yeah. But I
Um,
mean, Emre Guler out for 3 weeks as well. So there is just a bit more opportunity there.
yeah, for sure.
But it is risky. It is risky.
Preston as well is an expensive buy. I've also got him on my team. He has a great buy schedule, assuming he doesn't play Origin, which is a possibility. But yeah,
Yeah,
he just went bonkers last week. He's just massive work rate, tackles. Got the try, which is very nice. I was cheering, even though I'm not a Bulldog supporter. I think he's a good pot option this week. All right, let's go across to the
definitely.
holds.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll try to keep this short. Obviously, I think all of them. It's just maybe well, actually, apart from my Ongi, but the other three, I think it's just there's no point to trade them out right now. Stewart and Smith still making a bit of cash. Fisher Harris, I just think has a good buy schedule, and so until he starts plateauing, um, there's just no need to rush out that trade.
Yeah, and it's nice to have the loop this week, I guess, with Fish.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
also with Stewart, I suppose he's cleared from that injury, so there's no concerns
Yeah,
about him anymore. Um,
yeah,
Sells, Tom Gilbert, I actually sort of changed my mind on this. I think he might be a hold just because, I don't know, I think there's more of him to come. I think he's going to do better. I think he's priced at around 42 and he's averaging around that. And I think he can do a lot better. So I'm actually more leaning towards Gilbert being a hold, but I could see him being a sell in some people's eyes.
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with Aongi, where it's just there's so many good catches this week that you make that trade to get one of them in.
Yeah,
Um, that's obviously the choice you have to make, right? Like, yeah, it could be seen as a bit of a waste, but I don't think bringing in someone like a Kotoga is a bad move. So
no. I think mainly I'm just scared that I'm going sideways again. I feel like I went a bit sideways, maybe
yeah,
with safe Arthur Watson to Haas, and I feel like Gilbert
yeah,
to his
yeah,
Kant might also be a bit sideways.
yeah,
Um,
possibly.
Jerome Luai and Turbo, we don't really need to touch on. I think they're obvious sells just being out this week. Turbo injured always. I think it's time to move on from them, and they might be options when they get better in post Origin.
Yeah. All right. So Rolly Smith, I made no bench hooker for Eels this week, so it's one that I think you are better off waiting and seeing what those minutes are like, um, and then probably buying next week or I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think next week. I think just see how he goes. His PPM wasn't the best, but I mean, if he gets that 80 minutes, he's a good. I
Yeah,
guess, especially for people that sold Watson, he's a good second hooker, I guess, to back up Mamazelis. Um,
yeah, sure.
I think a couple of these others are also wait and sees. I think Waddell and Mitchell, you can wait and see. Waddell, I think, is more of an interest I have just because of how low he is and with the Manly injuries. He's not the best player in
Yeah,
my eyes, but with a price change of that much, minutes starting and a low break even, I think he's an option that people might not be considering that is worth considering. And then Latrell this week
for sure.
playing centers, I think he's going to drop a bit of cash probably, and he might be a good pickup after Origin.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, just waiting and seeing what happens with like the goal kicking and how involved he is. Um, I mean, obviously, clearly a gun that everyone should have their eyes on at some point.
Yep.
And then Cleary, I mean, obviously, I mean, like I wouldn't buy him this week, but definitely next week, if he scores anything above a 60 to 70 ish, like his break even will be sort of leveled out. And I mean, Nathan Cleary for like a 750 next week is absolute steal.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you antipoded him at the beginning of the year, you're laughing. But I hope he sort of goes out this week and gets over 100. It's probably not going to happen, but I have considered, like I said, the captaincy on him, so it's possible. I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
a couple similar narratives across here with Reece Walsh, Nanai, just crazy price drops. I think once their break even sort of level out, a lot of sort of same with Fafita starting on the side. They have a lot of cash to make and a lot of points to make when they get the minutes, and in Reece Walsh's case, when he gets his form back together.
yeah. I guess the only concern for all these players, like these three in particular, is you know they're all in Origin contention, and but either way, they all have buys around 12. So if you bring all three of these into your side, plus a Haas, a May, a Cleary, all of a sudden you have 6 or 7 players out round 12, and you are starting to then really push the limit of starting at full 13. So that's one thing to consider as well with these sort of players. Like how many do you bring in and when do you bring them in, right?
I think out of these, obviously Preston I already have, but I think my main eye is on Walsh just because of that weak fullback position. I think Ponga's
Yeah.
in higher contentions to get the starting role, and I think he probably won't be playing a utility role. So I think Reece Walsh could take the risk on him. I guess the double-edged sword is then if he starts playing better, maybe he does make Origin. But I guess at such a low price, you can't really. These are people you have to be considering for the nearby future.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
All right. So
with our tips.
Rough week.
Rough week.
But yeah, just hard week to tip. A lot of rain, so a lot of games being sort of closer, and then stuff going teams' way. So
Yep, 2 from both of us. I was top 8,000 last week, and now I'm back to 40k, which isn't as impressive. So hopefully we can turn it around. Here's my tips for this week. I think the only difference is I've got the Sharks by 6, you've got the Raiders by 4, and then I've picked Manly, and you've
got Manly.
You've gone Storm.
Yeah, I think no turbo makes it tough. And yeah, just backing the Raiders in at home. Two pretty poor performances in a row for the Raiders, and I think they have to bounce back at some point. So
yeah, I think a lot of teams they're weak to bounce back. I think it's going to be a hard week to tip. I think the Eels are due for a win possibly. But I've just played it safe. I've basically picked all the favourites here just because I'm not 100% sure on a lot of games.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's again. I mean, like this year, I think the comp's very even, so it's hard to really decide individual games. So,
all right, that wraps us up. I guess if anyone has any trades that they're considering, chuck it down below, and we'll each give our opinions on it. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, should be a good week.
Well?
Yeah, that's good.
Sweet. Catch you guys next time.